There are people in the government who, not only in the government, in general, there are opinions that if we copy-paste an efficient system like the European Union education system with the Bologna process and other things, then since it works in Europe, it will work also in Moldova, and this will solve our education problem. Is this a good approach?
I've not seen this to work. In our efforts around the world, what I have seen is that different countries use different systems for teaching and learning. Students are used to, from a very young age, to be learning in a certain way. Teachers used to be teaching in a certain way. While you can certainly change those ways of teaching and learning, it requires some time, and it requires an effort, a concentrated effort on behalf of the teachers and the learners to adapt to a new style of teaching. So what we find around the world is that a lot of countries are using the style where I'm the professor, I'm the god of knowledge, and the student needs to listen to me because I know everything. And so it's much more of a teaching style where the instructor talks all the time in the class and the students only listen. There are other countries where there's much more of a collaborative discussion in the class, and the learning happens not with a teacher but with the students, and the instructor becomes more of a mentor and a coach. We can move between these systems from one to the other, but it requires us to be open to the challenges that will happen as we start to move in this direction and be willing to work through the problems. To avoid some of these things, just copying and pasting or importing to Moldova what happens in Europe may or may not be as efficient. It might require to tailor and tweak and adjust the European system, if that's what you want, or the US system or any other system, to the needs of the country, and slowly understand how to adapt it continuously to where it will fit the Moldovan model of education. And it'll be maybe initially a hybrid, where you use some of the concepts from the system you adapt, and you use some of the approaches you've used originally and for many years in Moldova, and slowly you migrate it into ultimately only using the system you'd like to use. But it's going to take some time.
What is the most efficient way to adapt the education system to the labor market, to what the industry needs, and what is the fastest way to do it?
So I think it all starts with an assessment. I think what you want to do before you start adapting anything is to understand where we are today with industry. What does industry need? What do they have in terms of skills and abilities? What does the education system provide them? And what does the education system need to provide? Then when you have this assessment, you can understand the gap between what exists and where you want to go. As you develop curriculums and programs that could help you narrow this gap, you want to do this with industry. So the development of these programs have to happen with a combination of people from industry, a combination of people who are developing these curriculums, whether it's academia or industry professionals who develop curriculums for a living, and government support as well. And these groups of people have to meet together to understand what each of them needs. So when you develop these curriculums, you are able to help provide those specific needs that they have and make sure that you're meeting them. Now, two things are important. One is we have to verify that there is a job for these graduates. Because if there's no job for these graduates, they're not going to apply for these programs. The second thing that's important besides the job is what we call an outcome-based curriculum. What that means is I need to know what you're going to be doing on the job so that I can take that knowledge and then map this to activities in the class and exercises and specific things I teach in the class, so I could guarantee in some way that when you finish this course, how long it is, that you will be able to do certain things. So this process of mapping outcomes to activities and exercises and curriculums and the design of courses requires professionals who know how to do this. It usually requires international involvement, because I'm not sure that in Moldova you have used these techniques, and we've used them around the world. So you want to find partners, much like we do with other countries who've done this before. And I think that is not a lengthy process, but it does take time. I think overall you'd find that a development of a program like this could take up to a year. But once you have that and you spend that year on developing these programs, they're much more focused and tailored to the specific things that have been done to meet the needs of industry. We can certainly transport things internationally and bring them here, but it's not going to be to the environment and the context of the industry that Moldova has. Spending that extra time and effort to develop things that are tailored will provide more results and better results for the industry.